Okay, first, I want to thank everyone who is participating in this Dev Talks, and I hope this will be useful for all of us. Let me introduce myself first. My name is Ejder Kuvemli, and I have been a software developer like 15 years now. And before the .NET platform, I started developing projects in the Visual Studio 6. And after the .NET revolution, I started my professional life with mostly C# as a .NET developer. And now I work as a program architect at Authority Partners. I consider myself as a back-end developer. Today, I'm gonna talk about .NET 5, which is the latest .NET framework released on 10th of November this year, like 1 week ago. And yes, it's new. We are not going to talk only about .NET 5 itself, but also we are going to discuss new C# version 9. We'll see some code and what to expect or keep in mind when migrating existing projects to .NET 5. So let's start. First, I would like to start by describing what is .NET Framework and why we use it. .NET Framework is a framework that is provided freely by Microsoft, and it is made of tools, programming languages, and libraries for building many different types of applications. Its first release was in 2002, along with one of the most popular programming languages, C#. After the .NET Framework's first release, another major step was .NET Core's release, which was in 2014. With .NET Core, cross-platform support is established, but after this release, .NET was split in two, because at that time we had that .NET Framework, which has some advantages, especially for Windows development, and .NET Core for cross-platform needs and improved performance. Now, with the release of .NET 5, Microsoft unified these two separated frameworks, and there will be only one .NET again. So .NET 5 will be the future of .NET Core, and with this new framework, .NET Framework will be deprecated. But it will continue to be supported as long as the operating system you're using supports that version of .NET Framework. This is the .NET schedule and image from Microsoft. Microsoft's initial plan was to deliver the entire unification vision with .NET 5, but due to the global pandemic we have, they could not achieve that. As a result, they will be delivering this vision across two releases, and actually with .NET 6.0, we are going to see this unification completed. .NET 5 was introduced in May 2019, and as I previously mentioned, it was released on November 10th, 2020. This release is GA, or General Availability Release, which means the support for this framework will end 3 months after the next major .NET release, which will be .NET 6.0. 3 months here means February 2022, and this date will be the end of support for .NET 5. Since .NET Core 3.1 is a LTS, long-term support release, and its end of support date will be around December 2022. So .NET Core 3.1 will be supported longer than .NET 5 itself. .NET 6.0 will be the next LTS release, and it is said to be more stable. It will be supported around 3 years, like .NET Core 3.1. And I would like to encourage you to keep this in mind for your migration decisions. Microsoft skipped version 4 for this release after 3.1 because they wanted to avoid confusion with .NET Framework for X stuff, and this reminds me of the famous Windows 10 version choice. As we all remember, Windows 10 was released after Windows 8, and again, their intention was to avoid confusion or issues with Windows 95 or Windows 98. They dropped Core from the naming, and .NET will continue its way with this new unified name, .NET. And also .NET 6.0 is planned to be released in November 2021. So how will we start development with .NET 5? First, we will need to download SDK in order to use .NET 5 with our development environments, and the current SDK version is now 5.0.100. Previously, it was .NET Core SDK like .NET Core itself, but they also dropped the core part from the SDK naming as well. We are going to continue to use .NET command line interface with this SDK. As I said previously, .NET 5 replaces .NET Standard and uniforms .NET Core and .NET Framework. There will be no new .NET Standard versions after 2.1. And .NET 5 implements .NET Standard 2.1. Here you can see the link where you can download it also. And the current page, SDK download page, looks like the image here. You can also download runtimes, as you can see here, ASP.NET Core runtime, and so on. Runtimes, if you would like to use it for only running .NET applications on a server or on your machine, we have 3 different runtimes here, and those are ASP.NET Core runtime, which enables you to run mostly web applications on a server, and .NET Desktop runtime for running Windows-only applications, and also .NET Runtime, which provides the components for you to run console apps on any environment you have, including ARM 32 and ARM 64 environments. .NET 5 was shipped including the new version of C#, which is 9.0, and we will be talking about that in a couple of minutes, and also F#, 5.0, and Visual Basic 15.9, if you are interested in those, as you can see here. And also for Mac, you need to have an 8.8 version of Visual Studio 2019 for Mac, and for Windows, 16.8 version of Microsoft Visual Studio 2019 is required, as you can see here. Also, about the operating system, not all the operating systems will be supporting .NET 5, and you can find the whole list here, and you can also check the link at the right corner for .NET GitHub page here, and the same list under the release notes for .NET 5 on that GitHub page. This is the latest version of that page while I was working on this presentation. There's only one exception you cannot see here, and it is Windows 10 version 17.03, and it's no longer supported by .NET 5. Also, .NET 5 will not support Windows ARM 32, as you can see. As you know, the supported operating systems will be very important when you decide which type of server you will be using with .NET 5 applications. After explaining which operating systems we can use .NET 5 with, let's dive into the other technologies that will come out or be shipped along with .NET 5. But before doing that, I would like to explain which technologies will be expired or will not be supported by .NET 5. Starting from this new framework, ASP.NET Web Forms will not be supported anymore, so we have to say goodbye. WCF or Windows Communication Foundation will not be supported as well. Workflow Foundation will not be supported either. We are going to talk about these non-supported or non-portable technologies in more detail under the topic migration to .NET, and there you will be able to see what Microsoft has replacements for this. And after talking about what will not be supported, here are the new technologies you can use right away with .NET 5, which are ASP.NET Core 5.0, the new version of ASP.NET, Entity Framework Core 5.0, and C# 9 with F# 5 and Visual Basic version 15.9. Within this session, I'm not going to deep into ASP Entity Framework Core, but I hope one of the upcoming DevTools sessions we have here would be about these technologies in detail, since there are lots of new improvements in both technologies. I have already mentioned the language updates, and I will be talking about C# soon. So other than these new technologies, we have also some new features and improvements have been introduced with .NET 5. A lot of performance, especially on garbage collector, RuJIT, or GIT, contains many other code generation improvements. It's really faster now, as I can see. With these new improvements on garbage collector, also application post times have been reduced when garbage collection is running, and garbage collectors scanning of managed memory for candidates to undergo garbage collection has been optimized. Other performance improvements completed for HTTP 1.1 and HTTP 2 implementations, regular expressions, and string operations. And also, I would like to mention here about the JSON operations. Also, I would like to add a note here regarding these performance improvements. I personally migrated a .NET Core 3.1 project to .NET 5, and it seems it has better performance, but some articles on the internet, or I should say benchmarks, show that .NET 5 is 20 to 100% faster than .NET Core 3.1. It depends, the scenario. And this is a huge improvement, I believe. Also, they have some gRPC improvements. gRPC is an open source remote procedure call framework. There are many new features in gRPC, like real-time streaming, end-to-end code generation, and great cross-platform support. Also, the performance is greatly increased compared to .NET Core 3.1. Some benchmarks show that .NET 5 server performance is 60% faster, and .NET 5 client performance is 230% faster than .NET Core 3.1, and these are huge numbers, I believe. Also, HTTP 3 will be supported experimentally in .NET 5. The initial plan was adding this support to .NET 5, but it seems that we will have full support for this in .NET 6. Linux ARM64 was already supported by .NET Core 3.1, and also Windows ARM64 was supported, but this was not native support, which means applications could only run in like x86 emulation modes and on these devices. But with .NET 5, we will have full native support for Windows ARM64 devices such as Surface Pro X, both for development and for running applications. SDKs and runtimes. The .NET 5.0 SDK doesn't currently contain the Windows desktop components, Windows Forms and WPF or Windows Presentation Foundation on Windows ARM64. They have a plan to add this support in a 5.0 servicing update. And also about this uptrimming here, .NET Core supports self-contained deployment. Everything needed to run the application is bundled together. It is easy to install and set up, but the downside is the size. The package contains a complete copy of the runtime and framework. In .NET 5, Microsoft takes this further, and removing the types and members that are not used by the application will reduce the file size. Trimming is this process of reducing the file size and assembly level trimming and member level trimming. Member level trimming is more selective, and for now it's experimental. It's not recommended for mainstream adoption right now. And also click once is back. I used it several times throughout my career. For the people here who are not familiar with click once technology, click once is introduced with .NET Framework 2 and supports deploying applications with just single clicks, like through browsers, web browsers. It's now supported for .NET Core 3.1 and .NET 5 Windows apps. The last topic here will be single file applications. In .NET 5, a new publish type is introduced that will output the complete application and all its dependencies, including the .NET runtime, as a single file to be distributed, and we call them single file applications. Okay, so let's talk about the tools and environments for developing some .NET 5 apps. And of course, still we will be able to use your code with .NET 5 after downloading the SDK if it's more convenient for you. And the C# extension for Visual Studio Code already supports .NET 5 and C# 9, but I will be talking about Microsoft Visual Studio 2019. In order to start using the new framework with our Visual Studio 2019 environment, first we need to ensure that we have version 16.8 or higher. For sake of this presentation, I will be using the latest version of Microsoft Visual Studio 2019, which has version 16.8.1 at the moment. And also Visual Studio will update .NET SDK for you. As you can see the image here, I have updated my Visual Studio from 16.7.2 to this version, this new version, 16.8.1. After updating and configuring everything with the Visual Studio, we can start to talk about C# 9.0, the latest version of C# language, and we are going to see cool features and improvements it has. Before diving into any specific topic here, you can see the list of all the new features and improvements as bullet points. There are a lot of changes in C# 9.0, but unfortunately, in the short limited time we have here, I will not be able to show all of these, and I definitely encourage you to read the article in the references of this presentation if you are interested in to see all the changes and updates in new C# language. So I will be talking about that I believe the most exciting changes we have, like top-level statements, init-only setters, especially records, pattern matching enhancements, and so on. So let's dive into some coding then. Okay, here is our lovely Visual Studio environment. First, I'm gonna create a new project, like .NET Core console app, and I will rename it to .NET 5. Okay, since I have created this project as a .NET Core app first, I'm going to change its target framework to .NET 5.0, and you will be able to see the new target framework monikers. Okay, I changed it and builds. Then everything is fine, as you can see. I'm also will be adding this part here because we're going to use console write line several times. Also, I'm going to create two different classes here, like class vehicle and she'll have black color and also the number of wheels, so number of doors first. And also number of wheels. Okay, I also will create this derived class named car. Will be inheriting vehicles. And so within the main methods, I will create or initialize a car object, car. And I also be adding this methods here, static void display vehicle. And it requires vehicle as a parameter. Okay. Also, I will only use this method to print the color, number of doors and wheels of a vehicle. So it will be very simple, like this. For example, we can have this vehicle color here and vehicle number of doors and wheels. And I will use this method in the main methods like display vehicle, we have car, and also I will get rid of this part here. Write this right line. I just wanted to see some properties, class type, name of that object or namespace, so I will use this right line here also. Also, for the car object we have here, I will add some values to the properties, like, for example, maybe you can have this gray here and number of doors for fire 4, for example, number of wheels will be 4. Okay. Everything looks fine, and let's run this code and see what happens. Okay, as you can see, we have gray 4 doors and 4 wheels, and namespace like net5, and class type name is car. Okay, so here in the main methods, what if another colleague wants to change the property value of that car, like color, for example, to red? Let's run this code. As you can see, it's red. Okay. And but what if I do not want to? I do not want anyone to change the property of that car object. Yes, we have some workarounds here in .NET, current .NET. I mean, maybe the old .NET, I should say. But let me show you something else to prevent this kind of changes in the future or in .NET 5. But before doing that, I will get rid of these parts here, and this will be very exciting. I will remove namespace, and class program, and I also will remove static methods, main. Okay, so as you can see, there is no exception, there is no error, nothing. And actually what I did here, and I moved the content of main method to outside and outside of that method. And now we call this top level statement, which we have this with new feature or improvement in .NET 5. So let me run this code again. And as you can see, everything is fine, and it runs again as the same. What we have changed here, we removed the static main methods, program class, and everything, and we are using this content here, or the code piece, as main methods itself. So this is top level statement in C#9. So, but there is an exception to this. What if I move this part here? Okay, so we have an error. Top level statements must precede namespace and type declarations. So we cannot use after any declaration we have here, like class name, class declarations or something. So I'm going to do this again, and we should use top level statements here before any class declarations or something. Okay, so go back to our topic here. So we don't want any other colleagues or developer to modify the property values. And what we will do is we will set vehicles property here, like init with init keyword or accessor. And as you can see, oops, we have an error message here, which is init only property or indexer vehicle color can only be assigned in an object initializer. What it means is we cannot modify its property after initialization here. So I will remove this part. And so what we will do here is marking our class as records. Okay, so this is the time to talk about our maybe the most exciting change in C#9, and it is records. Let me do this first. Records are enhanced or augmented classes to have value like a behavior. They are strongly identified entities, but actually a record is a class. So here you can see another error message is only records may inherit from records. So we cannot inherit a record from a class. So we should use record with record. So we will change it to record again. Also, it's vice versa. I mean, you cannot inherit classes from a record. And as you can see, I fixed that. Let's try this to run again with new records. When we try to print the record object with WriteLine, instead of printing only class type names like classes, it will print the actual object properties and values, as you can see. As you remember, we have like net5.car here with namespace and class type name. But now we can see all the properties and their values like this with record. And this is another cool feature of records. Okay, let's create another car. And it will be using these same properties like the old one, and we are going to display it here as well. Car. And I would like to use this also to see properties and values. Okay, and let's run this code again. As you can see, everything is same because they are actually kind of same object. And we have those two identical objects there, but how will we change the color of another car? I mean, here. Actually, when we use records, it freshly creates a new object and copies the old one. Creates this new copy of the object in a non-destructive fashion. All the properties will be copied to the new object, or I should say, the other object. So to achieve this, I mean, changing the color of another car, we are going to add a new keyword here, which is with. And this with keyword, I will change the color to, I'm sorry, red. And with records, immutable objects can be copied with the unmodified properties and their values. And also with keyword can be used for modifying the properties. And let's run this code and see what happens. As you can see, we have gray car here, the remaining properties 4, and another car as red here. And also from that WriteLine thing, we have red color here. So we could have changed this another car's color. The last thing I want to mention about record is positional construction and deconstruction. So we have this vehicle record here. What if I do this? I mean, creating some kind of construction. Color means number of doors and This is exactly the same class or record compared to the previous one, and we call this construction positional construction. But here again we have another error message. Vehicle doesn't contain a constructor that takes 0 arguments. What is it? So when we use this kind of constructions, we need to modify the derived classes or records. For example, we need to do the same thing here, like adding properties like string color. I'm sorry. Number of doors. But again, oh, what's this? I forgot this. Okay. But again, we also have another error message here. Like, I will continue to use this one. Like, there is no argument given that corresponds to the required formal parameter color of car. Why? We need to change the initialization. Like here, we need to send the parameters, number of doors. This is how we can use with the base class. I mean the same parameters. Okay, so I will. Also, this is the another error message we are seeing here about this part. Okay, after creating this positional constructions, we have to create or initialize the object like this. Gray 4, 4. And now everything is fine. This was the positional construction, or okay, positional construction. And I would like to talk about positional deconstruction as well. Okay, I'm going to use this code here, CDW, and I will use another car this time. And let me get rid of this part here and print the values. Like CD and W. Okay, so when I run this code, so as you can see, we have red 4, and we call it positional. Okay, this is the positional deconstruction that you can use with these properties you have, because you have this color, number of doors, and number of fields here, so you can use them with the same order as you can see here. And the other topic I would like to mention here is matching enhancement. Is actually a new switch usage, we can call it. For this purpose, I'm going to add some extra objects here. Let me comment out here also. Like, let's say car has 4 doors and another car doors like 2, it's like coupe. And also let us create an SUV here. Car, and this SUV will be black, and it will have like 5 doors and 4 wheels again. And I'm going to add another method here, like static string gets vehicle type. This will be a very easy method actually. Okay, so what we will do here is checking number of doors using the switch, And use semicolon here. If it is true, the vehicle itself has, or car, vehicle or car has 2 doors, then we will return true for that. And if it has 4 doors, and we will use 4, and it will be 7. And if it has 5 doors here, and this will be SUV. And other than this values here, if, for example, what if the number of doors is 6? We will use this discard, and we will use other. Also, I would like to print the vehicle type here, vehicle type, and get vehicle type for SUV, and right line this vehicle type here. And let us see when we run this code here. As you can see, it's SUV because it has 5 doors, and this falls under this one, SUV parts. But what if the number of doors is null? I mean, this SUV, we didn't send any integer number like 1, 2, or 4, and using null, what happens? So it falls under other, but I would like to throw like an exception, like business exception maybe. So I don't want to use this anymore, or for now, we just keep it. Throw new argument null exception, and the message would be number of doors cannot be null. But again, we have a message here and an error message. The pattern is unreachable. It has already been handled by a previous arm of the switch expression, or it's impossible to match. Why? Because we have this discard here, and it will fall under this one if everything, I mean, the parameter is null. So I will remove this part here, and everything is fine now. And but what if I have, okay, let me run this code first. So we don't see anything because it's null, or I'm sorry. We throw an error exception here. Value cannot be null. Okay, let me show you this. Value cannot be null. So it's null, and we throw an exception. But what I would like to do here is, what if it's not null, but not falling into any steps here? I mean, any numbers, 2, 4, or 5, like 7 or 8. I will use another case for that. If it's not null, actually this is like discard thing. We use like underscore here, but this will throw an argument exception. Like unknown vehicle type. And what if I change this to 7 here? Let me run this code again. Okay, as you can see, we got this error message here, argument exception, unknown vehicle type, because the number of doors is 7 right now. So the last thing, this was the pattern matching enhancements. Actually, there is more onto this, but as I said, we have this short limited time here, and I just wanted to mention the last thing we have is target typed conditional expressions, and it will be this. If we have like Boolean value here, doors greater than 5, another car number of doors greater than 5, which will be false in this case. As you can see, we have a nullable integer, let's fall, and this condition here, we use 0 and null as return types. Maybe you know or you remember that we couldn't do this with the previous .NET Framework versions, but now we can use integer and null here together, and when we run this code, probably it will return null here. So this is target typed conditional expressions, and also there is more onto this, but this was one of the most exciting things I encountered, so I just wanted to show you. Okay, then let's continue with our presentation here. Our last topic will be migration to .NET 5. We have already discussed the performance improvements and so many new features, other improvements, and C# 9.0 coming along with .NET 5. And now I would like to talk about how we are going to migrate to .NET 5 from previous .NET versions, what we need to consider, which tools we can use, and some migration strategies. Before starting with the strategies and tools, I would like to remind you that app domains, rerouting, ASP.NET Web Forms, WCF, and Workflow Foundation will remain on .NET Framework 4.8 only, and there are no plans to port these. But here you can see some replacements or replacement alternatives of these components if you need to migrate them as well. For app domains, we are going to use assembly load context. For the rerouting part, we are going to use either named pipes or gRPC alternatives. ASP.NET Web Forms will not be supported anymore, and we will continue with Blazor and or Razor Pages or other client-side alternatives like React or Angular. For WCF, it's recommended by Microsoft to use gRPC as an alternative or core WCF, which you can see the GitHub page link. I'm sorry. GitHub page here, and for WF, we can only have one solution to migrate, which is core WF, and it will be expired after that. One of the most significant changes with .NET 5 is the new target framework monikers. With the new framework names, core app and standard parts will be removed, like here. I mean, there's no .NET Core App 5.0 or .NET Standards. And also you can specify multiple frameworks for your project. Here you can see some examples of new target framework monikers. .NET 5.0 will access all APIs. .NET 5.0 Windows Windows access only Windows APIs like WinForms or WPF. And the other one, which can be used with a specific version of Windows. In the image below, you can see how it is used in a Prosh file, and I already showed you with the C# part. Before starting to migrate the code itself, my recommendation would be to take two steps first. First, convert all project or Prosh files to the new project format and use proper target framework monikers, and then convert package.config to package reference. Because this tool will be the new standard from now on. Actually, it's like around like with Visual Studio 2017, but we will be using this standards. And there are some tools out there to help you, like try convert, which will automatically convert package.config to package reference. Okay, so we are going to talk about some migration strategies here. First of all, I would like to encourage you to use .NET 5 right away if you need innovation or if you want to use the new language or new features that .NET 5 has. Also, great performance improvements would be another reason to do that. Keep in mind that .NET 5 is shipped as a general availability release, which means will be supported and stable, but .NET Core 3.1 was and .NET 6.0 will be LTS, which means long-term support release, as we have discussed earlier. Also, Microsoft recommends supporting to .NET Core 3.1 for .NET 5, since it's more stable now. This is very important, actually. This is also what I have done. First, I have migrated a project which was .NET Framework 4.6.1, as I remember, to .NET Core 3.1. Then I migrated that to .NET 5. And believe me, it was really easy to complete. Migrating from .NET Core 3.1 to .NET 5. And also, you should be considering non-portable stuff like WCF or WF replacements will need some rework and will require some additional time to complete. Before diving into the migration, ensure that all the dependencies you have offer support for .NET 5, and if you have any legacy parts, you may want to remove them first or refactor. We will be talking about the API port tool, which will cover a part of dependencies analysis for you. And also, if you have some shared libraries that need to continue on .NET Framework, please consider using them as .NET Standard libraries. You can continue to use .NET Standard 2.0 to share code between .NET Framework and all other platforms. Also, you can use .NET Standard 2.1 to share code between Mono, Xamarin, and .NET Core 3.x. If you want to go cross-platform, ensure you have a CI system. Consider using tools like Azure DevOps, GitHub, Bitbucket, whatever you want to use. And if we are talking about the pipelines here and CI/CD kind of stuff, keep in mind that .NET 5 will be using the new version of MS Build, which is 16.8, like Visual Studio itself. I will talk a little bit about the tools which will help you a lot in the process of migration. I recommend you to use the .NET Portability Analyzer tool or API port to inventory your current code and its dependencies before the migration. This tool exports an Excel sheet file that you can see how much your application is ready for migration to .NET 5. You can download it by following the link here, or you can simply use the .NET CLI to install it. .NET tool install -g API port. And the below image depicts what would be the result after API port finishes its analysis. You can see some percentages here, and they show us how much of our code is ready to migrate to .NET 5. Also on the details, or actually not the .NET 5, also we can use with .NET Core 3.1 or another framework which uses the .NET Core basis or .NET framework. Also on the details sheet, it provides some more info about the dependencies you have and offers some alternatives or recommended changes if needed. Also, another tool I would recommend is for converting huge projects would be TryConvert, which converts your projects and files to .NET 5 and .NET Standard automatically. It also converts package.config, we talked earlier, to package reference. This tool works on Windows for now, so for your information. For more information, please follow the link here, or again, you can install it via .NET CLI, .NET tool install -g try-convert. Okay, thank you for listening to me. And here are some references I used for preparing this talk. Thank you again.
I am Bolek. I'm from Istanbul. I'm doing software development since 2008. It's been 12 years old, 12 years. I worked on Java and .NET. Also, I worked on React and Angular on UI. Today, I will talk about Amazon Lex and Lambda. We will create a chatbot with Lex and Lambda. Also, today is Man Day. As you know, 8th of March is Women Day. Today is Man Day. So happy Man Day to all the men. My agenda is, first of all, I will talk some Amazon Web Services in general information and a short comparison with Azure. Then we will talk about Amazon Lex chatbot tool for Amazon. And then we will pass to Lambda functions. We will talk about Lambda functions and do a small example of Lambda functions. Then we will investigate a pizza order bot that I created before. We will do some debugging on it and see how it works. And also we will talk about the integrations, and I made a small Slack integration and I will show it to you how it's done. And then I will have questions that you have. First of all, let's talk about Amazon services, the most used ones, of course, because we don't have much time. So, and there are a lot of services in Amazon Web Services. So the most used ones are, let's start with EC2. This is the Elastic Compute Cloud. It's the equivalent of Azure VM actually. It's an Elastic Compute Cloud service that you can create instances in minutes and use them whatever you want. You can install applications, etc. The second one is DynamoDB. DynamoDB is the NoSQL solution from AWS. Amazon DynamoDB is a key value and document database that delivers single-digit millisecond performance at any scale in anywhere of the world. It's a fully managed multi-region durable database with built-in security, backup and restore. DynamoDB can support peaks to more than 20 million requests per second. Yeah, 20 million is too high. And then comes RDS. RDS is the relational database service of Amazon Web Services. It supports PostgreSQL, SQL Server, and MySQL and other servers types. And then CloudFront is the CDN solution for Amazon Web Services. You can serve your static files from CloudFront. It's the equivalent of Azure CDN actually. And then IAM is the Identity and Access Management solution from Amazon. This is the heart of the Amazon services because nearly every service needs Identity and Access Management. With Identity and Access Management, you can give read-write access and other accesses to specific roles and policies. And Simple Notification Service, SNS, is a fully managed messaging service for both application to application and application to person communication. Amazon SNS enables you to send messages and notifications directly to users with SMS text messages to over than 200 countries, mobile push to Apple, Android, and other platforms, or you can send email from SNS services. And Beanstalk is the equivalent of Amazon Azure App Services actually. AWS Beanstalk is an easy-to-use service for deploying and scaling web applications and services. It supports Java, .NET, PHP, Node.js, Python, Ruby, Go, and Docker on servers such as Apache, Nginx, and IIS. And then comes Azure Lambda functions. This is a serverless solution of Amazon Web Services. We will talk more about this in our session. So I will pass this now. And after that, VPC. VPC is the virtual private cloud for Amazon. Amazon Virtual Private Cloud lets you provision a logically isolated section of the AWS cloud where you can launch AWS resources in a virtual network that you define. So your applications or environments will not be aware of each other with virtual and private clouds, and you can give access to each other with specific definitions. S3 is the last one that I will talk about for now. It is one of the most used services. Again, this is a simple storage service. Actually, you can upload and download files. You can give access to users or services. Amazon S3 provides easy-to-use management features, so you can organize your data and configure finely tuned access controls to meet your specific businesses, organizational and compliance requirements. Amazon S3 stores data for millions of applications for companies all around the world, and also most of the Amazon services uses S3 as a backend service. For example, code deploy services use S3 to store artifacts. And also from Amazon service in S3, you can trigger Lambda functions. There are more services, including AI services, other networking developer tools, management services like Elastic Load Balancer, Code Commit, and Simple Queue service, but I don't have enough time for them all now. So I will pass to Amazon Lex to our main topic. Amazon Lex is a service for building a conversational interface into any application using voice and chat. It both supports voice and text chats. It gets voice and text as input from user and uses this input to power business according to the implementation. First, Lex is born with Amazon Alexa. In Alexa, they use Lex. Then they released Lex in 2017 for developers. So currently, developers can use Lex in their applications to get information from users. Amazon Lex supports different languages like US English, Spanish, US Spanish, French, Canadian French, Italian, British English, and Australian English. Advanced Amazon Lex. Amazon is always improving AI and Poly service, so your services is continuously improving even if you're not aware of it. Lex is designed in a simple UI, no programming skills needed for simple bots. We will see, we will make a simple bot a little after this. Both speech and text is supported, so even if user wants to speak, can't write, or even if user wants to write, they are both supported in Amazon Lex. Easy development, quick deployment. You will see we will just build and deploy our Lex very quickly and quick time to market. And there are also built-in data types. For example, you can use US names as data type, or US first name as data type, or actor names or food names as data types. We will use them. Amazon Lex uses Amazon Lambda functions to query your business applications, provide information back to callers, and make updates as requested. Also, Lex lets you create natural speaking answers using Amazon Polytext to speech engine. Let's go to the next slide. Okay. Why do we use chatbots actually? And we are using them because we need to get the right data from user to fulfill the intents. There are some terms here to start Amazon Lex. Intent is the first term. Intent is the thing that user wants, booking a hotel and booking a flight or ordering a pizza or transferring money, anything is intent. Utterance is what user tells us to invoke intent. For example, user can tell us that I want to make a reservation in a hotel, or I want to book a flight, or I want to transfer money. These are called utterances. Slots are the data that must be gathered for fulfillment. For example, when user wants to book a hotel, user must select a city and dates. This start and end date, and city is the slot that we need to take from user, so we can search for correct hotels. Prompts are our questions to user to get slots. For example, when user wants to book a hotel, we will ask user in which city, or when will you stay, how many days will you stay. These are the prompts. And fulfillments are the business logic required to fulfill the making that booking in some API or transferring money from one account to another account is the fulfillment. Let's go to the Lex Chatbot interface. The biggest advantage of Lex is it's a unified interface actually. All the intents, utterances, loss, and etc. are defined in same window. You do not open more than one window. You can also connect Lambda functions in same screen, and you can define your initialization, validation, and fulfillments in same screen. You can define different kind of responses and response cards for Facebook. Also, you can test your chatbot during implementation in the same window. Let's make an example. Let me open Lex. By the way, this is AWS Management Console. When you log in it, you will see it. When you open Amazon Lex for the first time, you will see this window. Let's get started. You can create your own bot, or you can try a sample. There are 3 samples here: book a trip, order flowers, or schedule appointment. We will first create a simple bot. So I select custom bot. It wants a bot name from me. Let's say salute bot. So it will tells hi with our name. Also, we can select some languages and output voice. So when user speaks, our cell voice will answer it. We will enter session timeout, and we will indicate that our bot is not subject to Children Online Privacy Act. So we create our first bot here. As you see, we need to create the intent here. Say hi. Our user wants herself to be said hi. For example, we will create utterances. So when user tells us these utterances, we will understand that user wants to fulfill say hi intent. Say hi to me. Hello to me. So we can define more than one utterances to fulfill the intent. For example, if I create the intent for ordering a pizza, user can say, can you send me a pizza? I want like that sample utterances. So we can understand that user wants to order a pizza. Also, I want to get user's name. So I create the slot here, name, first name. I will use Amazon US first name. And what is your name? In utterances, we can also take slot information. Say hi to me. My name is name. Okay, I'm saving my intent. Oops, I forget that. Here's first name. What is your name? Here, if user says tells say hello to me, we will ask for the name with what is your name. If user says say hi to me, my name is name, we won't ask name because we already have name. Let's build our first bot. This is quite simple bot, let me tell you that, and we will investigate a more complex bot later. Now our bot is building. We will wait for 30 seconds or something like that. After that, we can test it in the same window as you see. Okay, it's ready for testing. Currently, we can use only these sentences. After a while, we can use similar sentences also. Okay, let's say hi to me. As you see, I said say hi to me, and it asked me my name to get the name slot. And name slot is now, and I will say John. As you see, we collected data from user name John. This is quite easy. And let's say hi to me. My name is Alex. As you see, we collected data from, user. Also, we can respond to user here. Hello, name. How are you today? So our chatbot will give response with these sentences. Hi, name. Have a great evening. It will answer with from these sentences randomly. Let's save and build again. Okay. Say hello to me, Sandra. As you see, it asked my name, and then we gave response with. Let's try again. Alex. As you see, it's selected randomly from here. But this is a simple one. The most complex ones are that we use Lambda functions, so we can fulfill our requirements. Let's get to the Lambda functions now. We will get back to here later. Amazon Lambda Functions is an event-driven serverless computing platform from Amazon. It supports several languages, .NET Core, C#, and PowerShell, Go, Java, JavaScript, Node.js, Python, Ruby, and custom runtimes. Ejder told us to migrate to .NET 5, but it's not supported, sorry. It's not supported yet. It will be supported in the future. Also, I checked Microsoft Azure Functions. It doesn't also support .NET 5 right now, but it's Microsoft App Services supports .NET 5. So we will migrate to .NET 5 in the future, I guess. Azure doesn't support Go or Ruby, but it supports F#. This is the biggest difference with Azure. Also, you can implement custom handlers with Azure. What are the advantages of Lambda functions? The biggest advantage is you pay what you use. If you don't call Lambda function, you don't pay anything. And it's pretty cheap, actually. It's using gigabyte second for metering. Gigabyte second are the number of seconds your function runs for, multiplied by the amount of RAM memory consumed. For 1 million requests, it's 20 cents. It's quite cheap, actually. And it has a sub-second metering. It meters every 100 milliseconds. For example, if you have a process that takes 100 milliseconds, you pay for 100 milliseconds. But if you have a process that takes 101 milliseconds, you will pay for 200 milliseconds. There is no infrastructure management and environment management here. If you want to manage environment, you need to use Elastic Beanstalk in Amazon. In here, you only have a method and you pass JSON to it and you get JSON response back. That's it. And it makes it so simple. It scales automatically up and down. It's also integrated with many Amazon services like S3, Elastic Load Balancer, etc. It's also integrated with CloudWatch default. You cannot close it. You can trigger Lambda functions from S3, Lex, ELB, SNS, etc. There is also built-in X-ray integration. You don't need to do anything for that. Also, every month you get 400,000 gigabytes free. So for development, it's quite enough. There are also some limits for Amazon Lambda functions. You can set memory from 128 megabytes to 3 gigabytes per second. So you cannot use more than 3 gigabytes in a method for invocation, in one invocation. And function timeout is 15 minutes. It's long enough, I guess. Default concurrent invocation is up to 1,000 times default, but it can be increased by opening a support ticket to hundreds of thousands. The limit is very high, as I know. And also there's a limit on invocation payloads in JSONs. An invocation payload can be a maximum 6 megabytes for synchronous calls and 256 kilobytes for asynchronous calls. Let's make a Lambda example. Also, we will create a pretty simple Lambda function here. Here, we can create from UI. I will show you how to create from UI. But after this, we will create from Visual Studio. Hello. Just we can language from here. For now, I will select Node.js just to show you. Okay. For Node.js, we can write code directly to the browser. As you see, this is our Lambda function. Let's test it. First, we need to create a test event. My first event. Then I will just press test. So execution succeeded, and we see hello from Lambda as it's written here. But this is not very useful from here. Let me delete this. Also delete this. Now let's go to the Visual Studio. Amazon has a plugin for Visual Studio. Actually, when you install that plugin, you have some templates here. Also, you have some management console for Amazon Web Services. For now, I will select AWS Lambda project. Let's say person information. We will just create a very simple one. I will create empty function. As you see, there is only one class here, functions CS. This is the entry point for Amazon Lambda functions. It gets string input and it outputs string. But here you can give any type you want because it will serialize and deserialize automatically using default Lambda JSON serializer. Let me create a class person. It will have two property, string name, name and age. As you see, I have a very simple person object here. Next. And I will return string hello person.name, you are person.age years old. As you see, this is the simplest Lambda function. Let's deploy it. Deployment is also easy. When you install plugin, you also have a shortcut to deploy. Here I will select Singapore region, and I will give my function name person information. Here I'm selecting a role, so where can my Lambda reach? For example, if there's a Dynamo database, I have to give it a role to access to Dynamo database, etc. And then I press upload. First upload can take a little bit more time than the subsequent uploads. We will see it. The next ones will be quite faster. Okay, our Lambda function is uploaded and deployed, so we can use it now. Here, as you see, our Lambda function is deployed 27 seconds ago. Let's test it. Person event. As you know, I will pass person data here. I'm 36 years old, and I created my test event, and I'm pressing test. Let's check. As you see, hello Burak, you are 36 years old, as we have written in our code. Also, logging is quite easy here. Let me log a statement and show you on CloudWatch. Lambda logger.log JSON serializer.serialize person. I will deploy it again. I will just click upload. And it's deployed. It's quite fast. Let me test again. Okay. Now I will go to CloudWatch and see what it wrote as log. Here, person information was our Lambda function. Here, as you see, our person information is logged here with a simple statement, lambda logger.log. We didn't do anything else, no configuration or nothing. We just wrote our log to the CloudWatch so we can trace logs here. Okay, so for this meeting, I also created a pizza bot, pizza ordering bot. Let me show you that first, and then we will go into the details. I created a pizza bot and integrated it into Slack. Here is our pizza bot. I will order a pizza, then I will query where is my pizza. May I get a pizza? Yeah, our bot replied us what type of pizza we want. We want cheese. Cheese, please. As you see, currently we cannot serve cheese. Can you pick another one? And this was a validation in our code. I will show you later. Let's want barbecue then. And we want big. We want it stuffed as crust. And we want only one pizza. And for bots, there's also a confirmation to confirm the data from user. It asks us if this data is correct. We will say yes. And currently, our order is taken, and it gave us a order number 2674. We need to note this number to query our pizza. Let's first query pizza. Where is my pizza? It asks our order number 2674. It just queried database, and as you see, it has been 0 minutes since you gave the order. In 35 minutes, it will be there. Hope you enjoy. As you see, our bot has two intents. One is ordering a pizza, and second is querying a pizza. Let's see the interface. Let's. This was on another region. Sorry. Here is our API pizza order. As I said, there are two intents. User may want to order a pizza, or user may want to query order. So to learn where the pizza is. And these are the sample utterances. User can say, I want a pizza. I want to get a big cheese pizza. May I get a barbecue chicken pizza? Or I want to order a different kind of pizza, I don't know. There are 4 slots here, as you see: pizza type, pizza size, crust, and pizza count. Pizza count is a predefined slot, but let's check the other ones. For example, pizza types are defined as a list here. And let me show you the size first. We restrict the size. User can only select small, medium, or large. But what if users does not say small or and says mini? We also can define synonyms here. Even if user says mini, we understand it's small, or even if user says huge, we understand it's large. This is a synonym definition here. Also, on initialization, we hook a lambda function. We will see it after. And also fulfillment, we have a lambda function here. And confirmation, as I showed you, I will prepare 2 stuffed big cheese pizzas. It's okay. It will confirm our pizzas. But what if user does not confirm? Our bot will just say, okay, your order will not be placed. Let's check this from here also. I want to order a margarita. As you see, I already told the bot about the pizza type I want, and it already got the pizza type variable here. And according to the order here, after pizza type, it will ask us pizza size. What size do you want? As we wrote here. It asks here. I want huge. Let's say huge. We said huge, and it understands that we want a large pizza according to synonym definition, and stuffed. I will prepare 1 thin large margarita pizza. It's okay. Let's say nope. As you see, because it couldn't get our confirmation, our state is failed, and it stopped working. Okay. Let's check our lambda function for this chatbot. Let me open it. Here, same actually. There's a function, entry point of lambda function. Function handler is the entry point. For Lex event, there is already a predefined model, Lex event and Lex response here. We will get into the details of it. But also, there is one more thing that I want to talk to you, session attributes. For each session, we can save some attributes in session, and we can use in subsequent calls to the function. For example, when a user first writes that I want a pizza, we check session attributes, and if it's not initialized, if it doesn't contain this key, we just initialize it. And for example, on initialization, I'm checking working times. At the first time user write us, I'm checking if date hour is after 10 p.m. or before 10 p.m. I just stop conversation there. Sorry, we do not serve at this time. So conversation stops directly. Or also, you can check geography if it's an area that you serve or not. You can do anything that you want at initialization, and you can save any data in session attributes. After initialization, we are validating all dialog. After all user responses, this code is called. Let's make a debug of this code so it will be better to understand. I will get a JSON from logs so we can use it for debugging. Order. Here, all my logs are here. Let me select one. Okay, let's take this one. Let me show you our Lex event first, then we will debug it. As here, we have current intent. User wants to order a pizza, and 3 of 4 slots are filled. Only pizza count slot is not filled. Let's say this cheese. I changed the slot, so I will show you how validation works. I will copy this. And one of the best part of Lambda function, it has an internal testing tool integrated to Visual Studio. It will open a browser. And I will call it in Firefox. Here we can debug our Lambda function using this input. Let's execute it. As you see, we have a request. Current intent name is order pizza. There are 4 slots. 1 is empty and 3 are fulfilled. Let's go. Because we have session attribute, we are passing this one. And current intent name is order pizza. And we will do validation here. And we are calling the execute function. Here, first I get all the slots information. It's cheese. Pizza count is not filled yet. Large and crust. And I'm validating pizza. As you see, if pizza type is not null and it contains cheese, for example, you can query the database and check your stocks. If there's no cheese, you can return that you do not serve any cheese. I'm removing slot, and I tell user that we cannot serve cheese. Can you pick another one? Here on exception, I'm returning a correct Lex response here. This is important. Lex understands only this response type. I'm saying pizza. I'm saying Lex to ask pizza type again. So here we return this. Currently we cannot serve cheese. Can you pick another one? We return this to our Lex Chatbot. So it asks user to select another one. Let me here. Okay. Also, I want to show you some more on Amazon Lambda functions about the X-ray integration. As I said, it's already enabled. We didn't enable it here, sorry. Let me check Lambda function. Oh, it's enabled, okay. So let's check here. No data found, okay. Let's call again and we will create some data. Let's make a chat. I want to order a margarita pizza, big, stuffed, too. Okay. Also, let's ask our first order. What about it? Is my pizza Our current intent is query order. I will enter my order number. It's been 11 minutes since I gave the order. Let's check X-ray again. I hope this time it created some trace. Okay. As you see our request to Lambda functions, we can see our traces here. Let me check with one with database, for example, this one, I guess. Let's see. Nope, not this one. Let's check this one. Okay. AWS X-ray is something like application insights. You can see from client to all the inner services. For example, client called our Lambda function APP's order here, and our Lambda function called database services here. Let's click on it and see details here. Our database server is here, and you can also see query here and database connection string here. As you see, this is quite useful if you have scenarios, what happened and how many seconds or milliseconds it takes. You can see quite easily. Also, let's talk about, let's talk about some integrations. Here. Amazon Lex have default integration for Facebook, Kik, Slack, Twilio, and AWS Connect. I create the Slack integration here, as you see, and there is no code development required for these integrations. On Facebook also you can use different response types, as you can display different pictures to users. There is information on the internet for that. Let me show how I did integration with Slack. Here on channels tab, we have different channels: Facebook, Kik, Slack, and Twilio. For Slack, I created a channel, and it created me some postback and OAuth URLs. And on Slack API screen, I created a new application, which is API Delicious Pizza application. And I entered some secrets, IDs, signing secrets, etc. that Amazon Lex provided me. After providing them, it doesn't show here, of course. I entered them here, and Slack suddenly started to work. It was quite easy. It took 10 minutes most to integrate this. Also, you can monitor your Amazon Lex bot here. As you see, there are request numbers, speech numbers, etc. here. Also, you can test with speech. You can test your bot with speech here. Also, there is an error handling. What if your user cannot answer does not answer your questions in a number of retries? You can create some prompts here. For example, if user does not answer your question correctly in 5 retries, you just say, sorry, I couldn't understand, and bot stops working there. User cannot go on conversation anymore. Actually, this is all a small introduction to AWS Lex and other AWS services for now. I hope you enjoyed it. That's all from me for today. Thank you all for coming and joining this session.